Yeah, my name is Praveen and I lead the data and engineering and ML engineering at PayU. So today we'll be talking about how do I conceptualize data as a product. So this will be more of a theoretical session where we'll try to understand that what benefit we have. Like every one of us use data in form of some analytics dashboard. Some of you might be doing some like data transfer, storage. But here in this session, I would help you understand how can you consider thinking data itself as a product, right? How can you benefit about it? How can you monetize it? What are the challenges in them and so on. Okay, so what is data as a product? So according to IBM, data as a product or DAP is an approach in the data management and analytics where data sets are treated as standalone products designed, built and maintained with end user in the mind. The concept involves applying product management principle of lifecycle of data, emphasizing quality, usability and user satisfaction. So usually what IBM says about data as a product is that it's an approach where you are not just using data for doing analytics, but also like the data sets which are outcome of these platform is a product itself, right? So how is it different from a regular data product and like any other data product? So data products are mostly focused on leveraging data to deliver actionable insights or solutions, such as an analytics dashboard, predictive modeling, and other stuff. So usually they are specified to solve a particular problem. Let's say, how do I analyze what is the overall sales and dashboards around it? Whereas if you see in a data as a product, it's a holistic methodology for data management, particularly in the context of data mesh principle. So data mesh principle is I would say a bit new principle where you don't only think about the data lake as one solution, but also think it about a solution which is like across different domains. So let's say today in a business of a bank might be doing loan, it might be doing, let's say, lending in terms of vehicle loans. There are many other divisions. And some of these divisions comes with their own regulators. So sometimes in the current business, having commingling with the data of one business to other business is really difficult. Regulatorily, by regulator, it is not allowed. So how do I build different streams of data architecture within the bigger architecture? So that is kind of a data mesh architecture. So that data mesh architecture has really kind of given an origination to data as a product. So data as a product contains code, the data and the metadata and any necessary infrastructure. So nowadays we use infrastructure as a code. So that is also part of data product. Okay. So how is it different from a traditional data management if I compare? So the key differences between traditional data management tools versus today is that the traditional data management focuses on storage and retrieval and like giving a value out of data with its own life cycle and stakeholders, right? Whereas if you see data as a product, the benefit is that it's also ensure the overall life cycle, like the data quality, accessibility, usability, leading to a better decision making and overall strategic advantage. So if I consider a product which is like a similar approach where simply I would say if you put it as a normal dashboard or a normal product where normal I would say analytics tool, then you can only get benefits like, let's say you are taking data from some source which is a database and some stream which you are combining, and then you are showing the result on a dashboard of like how my sales number looks and stuff like that. Whereas if you conceptualize the same thing at a data as a product level, you will do the whole life cycle of it, starting from data quality to then moving it to metadata management, a search and discovery, then the next level of it is moving into real time. If the kind of use case is so a batch use case or real time use case, based upon that you will put a lot of other quality checks, and then once the data moves to the refined zone, then you again do a lot of things like how do I make sure that it's not only available as a dashboard but also available as an API for any other application to consume, right? So whereas in the earlier format, if you see, you are only providing data output in form of an analytics dashboard, where you don't, even if there is something wrong at the source, you don't like care about it. You feel that okay, it's someone else's responsibility as source and he or she should be able to fix it, right? And although you can pass on this to fix to the source team, but then it's very reactive approach, not a proactive approach. Whereas if in the data as a product, the approach is very proactive. If you have quality rules and you have kind of configured to send alert on top of that, it's always that you will get an alert at the right time, right? So the approach is like in both cases, if you compare, the approach in the data as a product case is very, I would say, less reactive in this case, right? Obviously, in order to have it very active, you need to apply data and ML algorithms on top of it. But in general, it's more of a lesser reactive than the former approach. So let's also see what are the, as I talked about this use case of a dashboard, let's also talk about what are the foundations of data as a product. So the first one is easily discoverable, which is like having a metadata which is available at a indexing, search indexing, which we usually refer as data discovery in the modern data management, right? So you can use tools like Open Metadata is an open source tool, very good. Then you have Atlan and a couple of other tools which are enterprise tools, which can be used to easily discover. So even if your data, overall data landscape has, let's say, sources which can have data from different databases, like some SQL, some NoSQL, some data which is coming from Kafka queues, and some data which is which is at orchestration layer, let's say Airflow or any other tool. You should be able to discover at each level. Let's say if today I want to have a discovery like in my platform, I can search that how many columns are there which are the credit columns. So let's say credit entries are there stored in some columns. If I just write credit once, I should be able to like view across my whole data landscape that how many columns are there where actually which is actually having a search of credit as a keyword, right? And if you see, like with the GenAI wave, we can also do some more configuration to implement some GenAI solution where you can also do an intent-based search. So the search the traditional search is only at a keyword level. So once you do a search based upon the index, it search for a keyword and then fetches it. But if you apply GenAI solutions on top of it, you can also do an intent-based. So let's say if I want to search as credit column, it might give me all the columns which are also related to credit, let's say lending or let's say plus minus. Similarly, like some intent-based search which is based upon some foundation. Right? Then the second is addressable. So if I have a column which is which I'm searching for, let's say credit, it should be easily addressable, as in like what is the data type, what is the upper value that it has, what is the lower limit that it can contain, what kind of like refresh frequency does it have, what kind of, like if I search, if I want to query it, what is the exact keyword that I should write to query, right? Trustworthy as in like if I want to kind of rely on any of logic that I'm creating, the data in that particular column should be trustworthy so that I don't have to kind of re-verify or do a quality checks on top of that. Right? Obviously, documentation is important when I talk about a foundation of data as a product. So not only documentation for the overall how the data looks like or like what kind of data is present in a particular column, but also a documentation of how do I fetch it, or how do I, let's say if there are columns where the units are not defined, then in the documentation or in the description you can say that okay, this is the unit of this particular column. In addition to that, we should also have a document of what kind of flow does the data look like. Like in some cases it is lineage. In the modern data world, it's mostly lineage. But it also like other documents, as in let's say if certain in the orchestration certain pipeline fails, then how do I kind of rerun the pipeline? What are the next steps to run the pipeline again, right? Another important aspect of it is how do it sync with some other data products, right? So let's say if I am building an orchestration engine, so how can it be integrated to another engines? Like let's say I told there is a data discovery platform that we talked about, right? How can it also kind of integrate with my orchestration layer so that I can search on my orchestration as well, not only on my databases or the regular Kafka streams or other stuff, right? So if I have to consider a product like, let's say, a booking system of a train or a bus booking system, then it should be able to sync with my calendar as well, or it should have a functionality to kind of provide API which I can use to sync with my calendar, which shows on a home page of this particular app, right? So although these are different data products, they should be able to sync with each other, right? Then obviously, since we are talking about enterprise product, security is of utmost important. So we can't kind of take security at a second class engine. It has to be part of the overall journey. So this slides describe more of a characteristic of data as a product. Some of them are very same with the earlier slide. Like how do I ensure that it has a good quality in terms of completeness, as in like it should have the refresh date when the data was refreshed visible, or if it is coming from queue, it should be defined. You should be able to define that what is the delay or lag in the overall queue, right? And reliability is of paramount, right? So let's say since I'm building a whole of my logic on top of this sources which are coming, if the sources data qualities are not fit, or I would say are not standard, then I will never be able to kind of rely upon the overall metrics that I am presenting, right? Then usability is another important aspect where data should be easily accessible, understand and used by the intended stakeholder, which means that let's say I have a data which is lying on some of my database or in the queue, then I should be able to easily access it. In that context, I meant is that so if there are access controls in place and I'm allowed, or I'm at a level where I have the privilege to access some of these data, so I should be able to easily access it, and someone who is at an admin level should be easily able to give me access, which includes like having tools having tools like Unity Catalog and some other aspect, like in case of AWS lake formation template, lake formations, which can give you like easily managing data access of different users, right? Trustworthiness, as I told, maintaining data security and privacy to build user trust. Accessibility is something ensuring the data is available and usable for those who need it and whenever they need it. That means that whenever a data is required, it is available for the end user without having to go ahead and like raise a lot of requests and stuff like that. Okay, so data product lifecycle is very important. So when we talk about data product, let's understand that what is the overall lifecycle that it has to go through. So basically, for any software that we kind of build or a product that we build, it has 4 aspects to it. The first one is conception or conceptualization, where you think about the idea that you want to present, or overall you write the objective, that what is the overall objective that this particular product wants to fulfill, or who is the audience for this client, for this product, what is the overall goal that this is solving, what is the business impact that it will be creating, and then you talk to different stakeholders, do requirement gathering and stuff like that. Then once you move to the from conceptualization phase to the development phase, then you start developing different aspect of it. Each of the requirement document that you have created gets converted to code, and you kind of do a testing. Either it can be test-driven development, or you can do regular development and then do the testing by writing unit test cases and stuff like that. Then it involves once it is developed and tested, it is then deployed in the servers for end users to use it. So that's the third phase, which is deployment. And once the deployment is done, then you do like a series of testing, and then you can roll out in a phased manner to the audience that you want to reach. And then the last one is maintenance. So once it is deployed to for a larger audience, then how do I kind of continuously maintain and have a look on what are the matrices, if it is performing well or not. So you can have like regular checks in terms of like how do I make sure that I have alerts in place so that if anything goes wrong, how can I get an active alert and manage it? So in each phase, as I told, it involves different series of activities, but the general phase of a data as a product remains the same, how a software development is done. Right? Now comes very important role, that who is the owner for this data as a product. So there are various roles and responsibilities that you can divide between the teams. So data product ownership involves defining the vision, prioritizing features, and ensuring alignment with business goals, which is the part of conceptualization. So at a conceptualization level, it's mostly data product owners or data product managers who talks to different stakeholder, and then they kind of comes with the requirement page. Then they set up the goals, and then the key metrics which we will be able to kind of solve with this, right? The data product owners also act as a bridge between technical teams and business stakeholders. So they take requirements from different stakeholders and then convert it to a business requirement and pass it on to the development. So very, very important. Although product management has been a role which is there for quite some time, but the data product management role is fairly new. So 60-70% same use case of a product manager, but more of a data who can understand data, who also comes from who also has an engineering understanding or a data engineering understanding, can be a good fit for data product management. Now let's talk about designing a data product. So whenever you are designing a data product, the main focus is the end goal, the end consumer who will be using this product. So focusing on the needs and experience of end user to ensure the data products are delivered value. So although in theory you can say that the overall life cycle should look like this, even if you just do a check on all of the things which should be there in a data product, it doesn't make sense if it doesn't solve the problem of an end user. So end user problems should be, whenever you are designing a data product, the end user goal or the end user metrics the 3-4 metrics that the end user has defined should be always in the center of overall design, right? And then identifying specific use case and gathering requirement to align product with user needs and business goals is another aspect where you say that, okay, these are my goals and how do I fulfill these goals when the software or when this data product is delivered. Very, very important aspect of data product is the data governance, right? So compliance takes a front seat in overall governance framework. So you either it is a GDPR based compliance, or in current scenario in India where the DPDP bill is coming just around the corner. So you have to ensure that you follow these guidelines, which are compliance guidelines, and they are always like part and parcel of the overall development lifecycle. Then another part of it is security and privacy consideration, which is like protecting. Although let's say if you are storing some PII data, you should ensure that the PII data doesn't get compromised at any point of time, right? Whether the compromise can be at a level of like someone can be a bad actor within the team or outside the team. So within the team also, if there are some bad actor, how can you protect that, right? So you don't keep the PII like 2-3 PIIs combined at the same store, or you even don't like you just instead of passing the PII directly to the overall data store or the data lake that you have, you can pass you can kind of do an enumeration and then pass it, so that there is no like you have the keys are separate, but you can like during the time of fetching you can fetch it using this key that you have, but you don't actually see the PII, right? So very, very important governance aspect. Then the data product architecture components, right? So overall in the data lifecycle that you have components like storage, then you have processing, analytics platform, ETL and stuff like that. So you can always use, for the storage, you can always use like a data store like S3 or Google Cloud Storage, or something similar, which is a blob kind of storage, right? Where any kind of data, any structured, unstructured, or semi-structured data can be kind of stored, right? In terms of, like, I think it's very similar to, I think everyone is well aware of the overall life cycle of the data. But like, it's more about how do I kind of store the data and then do the ETL processing, then retrieve it back. Integration with existing system is like ensuring a seamless integration with the current systems that you have and the infrastructure that you have. So let's say even if you are, not at a cloud, like public cloud, your infrastructure still is into your private cloud. Then, and I'm trying to create this data product on a public cloud. Then how do I do a seamless integration so that both of my things are interoperable and are in sync? This is another important aspect. So data quality management, I have been talking about it from starting, but there are various techniques that you can do to kind of check how the data quality can be improved, right? So either you can use some open source frameworks like so Nightwatch is a framework that we developed internally. Then there are other frameworks like so you can use great observations, great expectations as one of the open source tools that I can recall of, which can help you to do a source and target check. Then you have then you can also do a check of like refreshness of the data and stuff like that, right? You can also have business quality rules. So if you know that you can talk to your business during the starting, and you can define the thresholds, and you can also define what kind of data should come there. You can also define, like, let's say what can be the range of the overall data. So all of those things can be configured as a data quality rule using some of these frameworks that I told, like Great Expectation and others. Once you deploy the quality rules, it's also very important to have a monitoring of those quality rules. So it is said widely that like beyond the level, if you have a lot of alerts, then that means no alerts. So every alert that comes should be an actionable alert based upon the quality rules that you have set up. So like the idea is to not set too many alerts so that you get lost in the alerts. And you don't have an actionable on each alert, but set up configures data quality alerts so that you are able to use those alerts to make actionable actions on the alerts that you get, right? Once you develop. Very important aspect to understand the monetization of data. So this data product monetization is a game where you can, like, overall at a business level, you can always do let's say a subscription based sales, or if you are selling data insights, you can also do based upon the business that your customer or client is making, you can take a cut out of it. Then another is to have license based sales. So the revenue streams in data products are a lot, and it's also that you can always, from one business, you can develop a data product and then kind of sell the insights to other products. So let's say if I take these UPI apps, so let's say a phone pay or a Google Pay, so you always have a lot of insights in terms of what is the merchants to which the data is transferred, which bank merchant the data is transferred, and from where the data is coming from, right? So based upon that, you can always develop an insights which can be sold to different industries. So let's say if you have an insight of how much people are consuming over a movie, you can always kind of create insights, not selling the raw data, but create insights and sell it to different media platforms or different platforms which are selling movie tickets, right? So multiple options, but the idea is to overall sell insights in terms of either licenses or in terms of overall value that you bring. So I'll go a little faster. What are the challenges of creating data as a product? So the common obstacle is that if you try to create the data product, at first, in most of the cases, if you are not in your big data journey, if you are not like matured enough, then the data sits in silos. So the first very initial challenge is that how do I make sure that all of my data sources come in the same plane, so that I can kind of start integrating with them and then create a product out of it. Another is that another problem that usually people come across is that right set of talent and collaboration. So usually either people are like some people are good in like requirement gathering and talking to customer stakeholder management, but not very tech savvy in terms of understanding the data aspects of it. So usually database solutions in this case are like something that requires little a bit niche skill to develop that thing, and it comes with experience, right? So I'll quickly go over the case studies. So examples of data as a products are, let's say if I take common example is in Netflix you get the recommendation, right? So that is a classical example of data as a product. Another example which is a bit deeper in case of, so one of my friends was consulting to this large media organization, where they wanted to understand based upon the screen time what is the impact of overall viewership, right? So viewership can be impacted based upon who you see on the screen, right? So based upon that, they used to pass on the recommendation to the director and the story writer that who should be more on the screen time. Another aspect is that if there is a twist in the story, or if the climax is there, when should the climax come? Whether it should come in between, whether it should be like if it comes too late in the overall journey, then also people might switch off, right? Or people might switch to some other series, right? So that is another recommendation. So another case, a classical case is of caps, where you do rerouting based upon the data points that you have. You also find the nearest cap and stuff like that. In Amazon, supply chain optimization and a couple of other data products. Okay, so what are the future trends of data as a product? So as I was telling in the starting, that at each level of the data product foundation, the idea at next level is to apply Gen AI and large language models so that you can get improvement at each stage, whether it is at the search stage, at discovery stage, to the ETL stage, to the analytics stage. At each stage, you can apply AI, machine learning, and Gen AI stuff, right? So overall, I'll conclude by saying that from traditional software management or from traditional data analytics dashboard, you should always try to move to a data as a product methodology. So data as a product is more of a methodology and thinking rather than kind of end product. So whatever we are developing today from a data analytics perspective, we can put a lens of all of these characteristics or all of these foundations that we have kept to make it more holistic approach and apply this methodology to get the benefits. Okay, thank you.